Okay, now we've downloaded the USB drivers and got them installed on your PC. We'll now go back to the SvanTech website and download one of the software packages which will allow us to process the results. So again, let's go to svantech.com. And again, go to the support part of the page and go to downloads. Now we have two pieces of software. One is Supervisor, which is geared up towards health and safety applications, so very good with instruments such as an i7-1, the dose meters SV104 and 102, and the vibration instruments SV103 and 106. But the more general purpose software is SvanPC++. This will allow you to download instruments for things like environmental noise evaluations and so on. Now if you go straight here and choose download, it will prompt you to log in to download the file. Well, not everything in life is free, so all we do is to ask you to create an identity on the website to allow you to get the extended options. So if you don't already have a login, you can click on register, and you'll be required to put in your email address, your name and your approximate location. You'll notice that not everything is compulsory, so you actually don't have to put too much information in, but it would be very useful to us if you also put in your product name, and there's a long list here. For example, if your instrument just happens to be an SV104IS, if you put in your serial number. And the reason for this is that it gives us the possibility of sending you information, updates, and also keeping you informed about new product releases and so on. Of course, you can choose not to receive spam, etc. By selecting things down here, and also whether or not you want to receive the SvanTech newsletter, which is sent out regularly. But since I already have a login, I will log in, and let's just put in my login details. And if I can remember my password, let's see if that works. Okay, so now I'm logged in. And again, let's go back to the support part of the website to find the software. So I'll go to downloads, and now if I just click on download here, you can choose to either download or run it, but let's save that to my download location. Once that's finished, it shouldn't take too long. It is quite a big application, so this will depend upon the speed of your internet connection. The software is entirely free, so you can distribute it to your colleagues, and it is updated fairly regularly as well. This just happens to be version 3.1.2. So we've now got everything downloaded, so I can now click run to install it. Let's get rid of this browser, and now we can go through the installer. Now you have to read all of the end user agreement, of course. I know everyone does that for all of the software they install. Probably gives us the rights to your bank account and so on, but we'll keep quiet about that. And let's just install it with the default parameters. So this may or may not take some time depending upon the configuration of your PC. Note that you will need administrator privileges to install this software. So if your PC is controlled by your local IT department, then you may need to get them to do this for you. Let's click yes, go through all the default settings, and we now have the software installed, and you'll see there's a nice brand new icon sitting on your desktop pointing to SvanPC++. Now this tutorial will simply just show you how to download the data from a SvanTech instrument, and further tutorials will look more into the functionality of the software. So let's start off by opening SvanPC++. Tells you what version of the software you're running, and you're presented with this rather daunting black screen. Now I'm now going to connect the instrument. This just happens to be a 958. connected with USB. Because I have the drivers installed for the instrument, it should recognize it quite nicely, and you'll see in the bottom left here it tells me which instrument I've connected, its serial number, and also its firmware version. So I can now close that. You're presented with the instrument wizard, and there's 4 items here. You can go to Svan Files, which shows us the content of the memory of the instrument. You can synchronize the clock on the instrument with the clock on your PC. So this is a convenient way of doing it without having to go through all the menus in the instrument to find the real-time clock. If you have the possibility of remote access to the instrument, this allows you to set up the communication between the instrument and SvanNet, but that is obviously an option, the remote communication with SvanTech instruments. Then the last thing you can do is you can check to see if there's any updates for the instrument. So if I just click on this button, it'll go away to the world of the internet and it will tell me what the latest firmware version is for this instrument. This one's up to date, but if you find that there is a newer version available, just contact us on support@svantech.co.uk and we'll send you the information as to how to upload that new firmware. New firmware may or may not be necessary. Sometimes we add things like the Russian language or whatever, which is a bit irrelevant to most people, except the Russians, of course. And also there are some additional features which get implemented in the instrument from time to time. Firmware updates are completely free of charge. All you have to do is to contact us and we'll give you all the information. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to see what's in the instrument here and download it to my PC. So we'll simply just click on the Svan Files button and you'll see a split screen that looks exactly like this. On the left here, this is what is inside the instrument. So this is what's stored in the internal memory, and at the moment I'm looking at the internal flash memory of the 958A. If you have a USB disk connected to the 958A, you can also choose to look at the contents of that, or if you have one of the latest instruments with micro SD card installed, you can choose to have a look at that as well. But here I've got a few files. I've got some results files and I've also got some logger files here which I can download. And if you have a huge number of files in the memory, you can also filter them by using the buttons down here. So if I don't want to see all the logger files, I can simply just unclick that. And here now I've got all the regular result files. Over on the right here I've got my PC. So what I could do is I could perhaps go to the desktop, and now I can make a new folder and I can give it a name. So let's call it 958A results, and if I open that folder, now I have a blank container to put my data in from the instrument. If I want to just download one file, I can just select it and use the little arrow button here, or I can multi-select, normal Windows convention, hold down Shift and then select them all, and I can transfer these to my PC. So there we are, they've all been transferred. It just tells you that everything's been transferred okay. And now we can go to our folder and start playing with the data. Now there is another thing that you can do if you have a set of multiple files here which have been perhaps recorded at regular intervals, maybe hourly intervals or something like that. If I look at the file times here, you'll see that these particular files have been stored at 1 minute intervals. So you might want to just combine all that into what we call a multi-file, so that you don't have a whole stack of separate files in my folder. So the way to do that is to use the merge option, and you'll see that there is a button down here called merge. So if I click that, now if I transfer the data, it will be transferred to what we call a multi-file. So now all 13 of those files are now inside that one file, which allows us to treat it as a time history file or a logger file if you like. So that's it, all the data is now stored on my PC. If I want to, I can delete the files, so I can come back here, see what's in the memory, and here and say delete, or I can delete all. Or there is an additional button here which is called erase memory. Now it's worth bearing in mind that if I delete just some files in the memory, the space is still taken up by the headers of those files, so it actually reduces the memory, so it doesn't actually clear the memory completely. So one way you can get around that is to click on the erase memory button. Gives you a warning to say, do you really want to do this? And if I now erase it, that will basically get the instrument ready to do a whole load of new measurements with the maximum amount of memory available for data storage. So that's now a clear instrument, but I now have my saved files. So in the next tutorial we will show you how to go and find those files. So let's go to the desktop here, let's go to 958, and here we can see the data that I transferred to my PC. But that's for the next tutorial, and don't forget to come back to the SvanTech UK channel where we will constantly update with new videos and tutorials.